Good morning, you dirty mofos. So this morning, I got up early. I usually get up pretty early, anyways, and got a little workout in. I did just some shoulders today, so just kind of pretty basic, simple shoulder workout. Nothing crazy. Probably most of you don't really give a shit about that, anyways. But the thing that I try to do is while I'm trapping, if I'm doing like the 2 weeks hardcore trapping here on the home line, and then if I'm doing 2 weeks out of state trapping, I'm not able to work out. I mean, what you're doing trapping wise, swinging a hammer, carrying stuff, walking, I mean, that's a pretty decent workout in itself. But physically lifting weights and maybe doing some cardio and stuff, that's, so those 2 weeks I usually take off from working out, but I usually try to work out every day in the off season and do some type of cardio, whether it's like walking or rucking, scouting properties, getting on the elliptical, getting on the bike. We have a treadmill, but I freaking hate that treadmill. And I just don't like treadmill walking anyways, because every time I get off the treadmill, it feels like it feels like it feels like I'm still, that variation from getting off to, I hate it. But so I've had I'm not gonna say a lot of guys, but I've had some guys get a hold of me and ask me some questions. And it's just green tea. It's diet green tea, by the way. So I'm still going strong on the diet, or whatever you want to call it. Still sick. Finally ended up getting on antibiotics, and tried to man it out as long as I could and fight it myself, but finally ended up getting on some antibiotics. So hopefully that kind of nips it in the bud. Anyways, I've had a couple guys reach out to me, ask me a bunch of questions, like what kind of traps I'm using, where can you get the traps, what kind of anchors, what kind of anchors am I running, what kind of stake driver I'm using, pretty much all the equipment I'm using. And a lot of that can be found on my website, the masterclass. I know a lot of guys probably don't want to do the 1099, which is fine, but a lot of it can be found on there. And I, pretty much if you look at any of my YouTube videos that are public, you could, decipher what kind of traps and stuff I'm using. So with that being said, I run the No BS Junior with wire lever, outside lamination. I swap out the chain, and I put a twist link chain on it, number 2 twist link chain, and that helps kind of cut down on the weight. The wire levers themselves help cut down on the weight of the overall trap. And then I just run a swivel right off the base plate, so you get 2 swivels right off the base plate. And then I run about, I think it's 12 links of chain, and then I run another swivel. And I used to just run the J hooks at my terminal end, and then have the super stake or the Berkshire anchor come off of that J hook. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition over to something kind of different. And I've seen people do this, but whenever I was out trapping with my partner, he was running the quick links, and I was always kind of skeptical of the quick links. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just the way I was taught, but seeing them work in action, I was like, man, that's pretty sweet. So I've been tinkering around with them and kind of came up with my own setup. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come off of the terminal end still with a J hook, and then about 4 to 6 links of number 3 chain. So that number 3 chain that I take off of the No BS Juniors to put the number 2 twist link kinkless on, I'm going to end up putting that on my terminal end, have that go down, and then I can slide a quick connect, just one of those like twist on quick connects, and then I'm going to come off and I'm going to run a 1/8 cable with either a Super Stick Bullet or a Berkshire disposable, and that way I can switch them out. I like to run the bullets here at home, but I think I'm going to just start running the Berkshire, just the simple disposables, out of state, and that way I can pull them up, take the twist link off or cut them and go. Or if I can pull them out, that's fine, and then I can just cut them later and not have to leave them in the field for a potential disaster or potential blowback on me and my partner trapping out of state. So the thing you don't want to piss anyone off when you're trapping out of state, I guess, which isn't always it isn't always doable, but it is. I guess what I'm saying is you're going to piss someone off eventually. It happens. But so that's the trap I'm running. I've been asked about pan tension, and this has been talked about by, I would say, probably hundreds and hundreds of guys, and really, really fantastic canine guys that are out there. They've all probably touched on this, but if you're following me on my platform, it's my pan tension I'm running. It's probably like 4.5 pounds. I don't know, and maybe even 5 pounds. So, I kind of just gauge it by, I just have like kind of a free floating pan. I don't want it to like just flop around side to side and flop up and down all loosey goosey, but I want it to be able to drop kind of with on its own with gravity, but not be like flimsy, if that makes sense. And I've actually had guys be like, man, how do you get your pan tension to be around 4 pounds with your pan like being able to fall on its own? And I don't know if it's just the ones I have or what, but I've even put my tester on it because I was like, oh, well, maybe, because I had a guy tell me, he's like, man, if I do that, I get like 2 pounds, and I'm like, oh shoot, maybe I need to recheck these. So I went through and checked, a handful out of each dozen that I have set up, and they were all sitting around 4.5 pounds. Some were a little higher at 5, which I don't mind. I don't mind the higher pan tension. I'm not trying to catch possums. I'm not trying to catch coon. I mean, even though you still will catch them with running that pan tension, but I think you might have a better chance of getting away from the non-targets. So, and I've caught fox with red fox, and we don't really have hardly any grays here, but I'm sure I would catch grays. They're going to be fully committed, and if it's 4 pounds, then they're fully pot committed. Then they're going to end up setting the trap off. So that's kind of the pan tension I run. I don't really switch much up. I do keep like a couple wrenches with me just in case if I have to do any work, but I very rarely do any work on the pan or the pan adjustment while I'm out. I usually try and wait till the off season to fix all those or go through and look at some of them. And once you do it for so long, you can kind of gauge it just by feel, and make sure your notches are good, make sure everything's good, and if you're having some huge difficulty and your and your pan tension's super high, putting a little bit of wax or waxing your traps is going to do great things for you. So that's the setup that I run. That's the setup that that I use primarily on my coyote line. Now, I do have a couple dozen Bridger 165s that are 4-coiled, and I've, tweaked them a little bit. But that I'll use those if I know, like, I really am on some foxy places, or if I see some fox, high density of fox sign. I will run the 165s, and they're rubber jaw, they're a soft catch, so that I'll use those. And then the pan tension I run on those is like 3 pounds, so I try to kind of stay consistent with the higher pan tension. But honestly, as long as it's what you like, the pan tension is what you like, and it's consistent across the board with your whole setup, then I don't see any reason why people should be giving you shit, or you should be having too many issues. There is like a theory, like with lower pan tension, they hit it and they're pulling up, like if they barely like hit it or pull at it, then you might end up getting some toe catches. So if you're noticing more toe catches, maybe increase your pan tension. And who's to say that's 100% right? I've noticed that running the no BS traps with like the 4-pound, I barely have any bad catches. I barely have any toe catches, I should say. I think I had 2 this year, I think. And that's from catching a couple hundred coyotes. So, and what's weird is I only caught like 7 or 8, maybe 9 fox this year, which is kind of weird. And I think I said it before, but I usually catch up in the 20s yearly. But I really wasn't trapping the same place as I was. I got a little bit away from the Appalachia of the Ross County area, kind of went north, more so to Columbus. But regardless, I still think I should have been catching a few more fox, and could that be attributed to paying attention? I don't know, because last year I ran the no BS and I caught 20. I think my best year was like 27 or 28. So maybe they weren't there. Maybe it was a paying attention thing. I'm not going to chalk it up as paying attention. I'm just going to chalk it up as maybe they weren't there, or maybe I wasn't on them. And like I said, I set a little different. Set a little. The areas I set were just different, new places, new faces, but now with the chain setup, I know a lot of guys say they have a mid chain swivel and they run a shock spring and this and that. Like, I'm not trying to save the animal to put in a pin or a cage or anything like that, so I don't worry about having all the extra gadgets and gizmos. And not that they're a bad thing, it's just I don't worry about it, because I'm gonna catch them, I'm gonna hold them, and then eventually, the end result is that they're gonna be dispatched or they're gonna be killed, and then harvested for their fur, their glands, and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I guess if you're going to be catching them from, using them in a pen, maybe you want a little shock spring, or maybe you want extra mid-chain swivel. But I haven't had too many issues with where I set and the locations I set with my chain getting, bound up or anything. The one thing that will bind your chain up is a damn possum. They like to, I don't know how they do it, but they just twist the shit out of your chain, and they'll figure out a way to get everything kinked up in that damn chain. So, whatever chain system that you like, or whatever chain system that you grew up using, or whoever taught you, go for it. I'm not going to say you're right or wrong, or you should do, there's a better way. I'm just saying whatever works for you and for your system, go for it. And continue to, you can continue to grow and continue to learn and educate yourself by just your practical personal use. And, you know, be subjective on your setup. You know, if you think it's badass, hey, that's good. Have good confidence in your shit. But also be objective. So, you know, see if stuff's not working for you. Make note of it. At least if you can do, you know, mental notes, that's great. But, you know, if you want to be, you know, almost 100% accurate and exact, I would just write notes down, whether that's with a ledger or pen and paper, or that's typing it into your notes in your phone. So a lot of different ways you can do it. You can also do like voice. Your phone, most smartphones have like a voice memo, so you can just press the record button, talk into it, and if you don't like hearing your voice, you'll get used to it. I promise. I used to hate talking in front of the camera, but you know that was like 5 years ago when I started doing all this. So I don't really, you know, they don't really bug me now. And the other thing I've got is like, I had a dude text me this morning at like 6 o'clock this morning. He's like, hey, can you give me a call when you get a chance? And like as soon as the text came through, I was working out, but I just put my earbuds in and kept working out and was talking to him. And you know, he's asking me a few questions, this and that. He's a real good dude, and he traps right up. I wouldn't say right up on me, but he traps in the same county as I do. I'll say that. And he said, you know, he started trapping a few years ago, and he has, you know, caught a few here and there, and then he ended up, I think he's caught like 30 this year. And he said he caught 20 just off of his place, off their farm, and then he's, you know, trapped on a couple other farms, and he's picked up, you know, a handful here and there. And I was like, that's awesome, dude. You know, going from, you know, barely catching or you know, catching a few to catching, you know, 10s, 20s, 30s. That's great. He's like, well, you know, I don't know if he was just saying this because he was on the phone, but he said I learned a lot from watching some of your videos, and like that's really the coolest thing, honestly, is like when people say that. And he's like you know, you've got a lot. I think you've got a lot of people into trapping. A lot of the younger guys. He said all the dudes that I work with at my job, he said they're all getting into trapping now, and you know, you definitely learn a lot. And he said you definitely, you know, helped me out a bunch. And dude, that's sweet. And then my buddy, his name, you know, I won't say his name because I haven't asked him, but I know Tom, my buddy up north. I think he's caught 40 or 50 coyotes. An older gentleman. You know, he's retired, but I mean, just doing it. He's out there doing it, having a good time, and managing some predators for some landowners. And it's, you know, and Tom told me, he said, dude, I tell everybody to get on your page and do this and that. And this isn't like a big, I'm not trying to do like a, what do you call it, promotion for my website. Like, that's not what I need. But if you're watching this and you want to check it out. If you don't like it, like I said, I'll refund you your money. Just tell me. But you know, the page, the masterclass has a lot of stuff that, you know, I'm trying to offer, and we're trying to get set up for everybody. And you know, I just launched it in, I think, October, and we're sitting around like 40 members, and the forum's really starting to come alive, which is great. I like to have discussion, and not like you're just every day talking about, you know, what coffee's the best, or you know, where you went to eat dinner at, and what you did over, you know, Labor Day weekend. Like, I just want it to be all talking about trapping and going that route, and kind of sticking with that route. So, I mean, if that's something you're interested in, you also get, like, there's private, there's like probably 35, maybe more private videos that I have uploaded, and I've been a little slow on the upload. I won't say that I've been, but I'm gonna keep the uploads coming. And like, I'm not going to slack on that, because like, if you guys are willing to invest in the website and to invest in me, then I'm going to be that much more invested, and I'm going to stay invested in helping you guys as much as I can. And the main thing is just to spread awareness of trapping and get folks, get like some of the younger guys out trapping. I know on my demographics on Facebook, I have like almost 16,000 followers on Facebook, and my demographics, like the age range is like 25 to 40 is the majority of my age range, and then you get and then the next highest is like the 40 to 55, and then like 60, like this 55 to 65 is right up there, like real close to getting into second place on the demographics. So that's sweet, you know, whether you're a young guy trapping and you're going to trap for years and continue to trap, or just learn how to do it to manage your property, to manage your deer lease, to manage, you know, help out your turkey population, whatever, if you're going to do it on your own farm. Because I'm going to be honest, like, there's a lot of guys that are serious about trapping, but they can't get everywhere. They cannot, you know, I probably have like 150 places I can trap on, or more, and I cannot get to all of them. Like, I didn't get to all of them this year, and I'm still working on a few places and getting on a few places. I'm gonna try and go up and set on a weekend. But if you can help, you know, maybe get on the site, help yourself, learn, you can manage your own place. I know it's a little bit of time, but I mean, I think it'd be well worth it, especially if you got 190 inch buck or something, or, you know, you got some nice nice toms or jakes that are, you know, strutting around, and you want to keep them, you know, keep your bolts happy and healthy and growing. I've had a lot of feedback over the years from trapping on deer leases. I usually do those kind of like last month into now is when I usually finish up. I usually finish like end of January, just because I really don't want to pressure them too much, and you know, I try and catch as many as I can. But I've had a lot of positive feedback from the deer lease managers and the guys that are on the deer lease, saying like, dude, our trail cam pics are exploding with you know, new deer, seeing turkeys now, and it's you know, that's, so helping people is like my main goal. Like, the main thing is to help guys know how to trap, get better at trapping, and then excel in trapping, so they're not wasting their time. But then, like, the second best thing is like when you hear that from dudes, especially in the hunting industry, and it's like, dude, you know, this has made a huge difference in our deer lease or turkey lease, or, you know, our hunting lease. And then I would say right up there with it is when you help livestock owners or operations, and they're like, oh yeah, like we haven't had near the harassment of coyotes that are coming through. We're not seeing them walking around the yards. Like, it's, so all that's a plus benefit, you know, tickles my fancy, per se. So this damn phlegm is messing me up. But so just with those few things that I've been asked to kind of segue back into that, the way the stuff that I use, I've had people ask me like, what kind of ground cover am I using? Am I using wax dirt, this and that? And wax dirt has its place, and wax dirt does well, but I don't use wax dirt anymore. I get like a couple loads of topsoil, let it dry out, and I'll dry it out and I'll bucket it. And then Mr. Hoban, and he does this, and then but I saw his setup in one of his videos, which was really badass, I thought, and and he has the milk crates, and then he puts all of his Gatorade. So he has Gatorade bottles, and he puts all of his Gatorade bottles in the milk crate, so it's organized. And he has, all the Gatorade bottles are full of dry dirt. So it's super quick, efficient. You just organize that in the off season. But when I learned about using the Gatorade bottles is when I got Phil Brown's DVD from a PTA convention, and I watched that video I don't know how many times. But it's super quick and convenient, and you can put it right in your bag, or you can carry it in your cargo pant pocket and just go. I use peat moss, so I bed my trap. I use peat moss, and then I just take that dry dirt and put it over top, smooth it out. If I need to, pack it down, I will. But I haven't been really packing it down, and that was kind of, just something that I was trying out, and it seems like it's been working, honestly, for me. So I had a pretty good success catch rate this year, and I'll continue to just keep trying stuff and give you feedback on it. So, but what I was saying about Mr. Hoban is he has all these like milk crates, and they're all full. So if you can get a couple milk crates, and then I think he told me 16 like standard Gatorade bottles will fit into one milk crate. So, and I can usually get one to two sets depending on how big maybe my trap pattern is or something, or my if I'm trying to like blend it out or whatever. I can usually get two sets out of one Gatorade bottle. So it's one crate's going to get you 32 sets. And honestly, that's a pretty good day for most guys if they're setting traps and they don't have anything preset. If they're just going out and like cold, like standard setting, that's a pretty good day. I mean, honestly, that's a really good day. So, but in my case, I run the peat moss and I run the dry dirt, and I don't do the wax dirt anymore, like I said. But so I run the peat moss, I run the dry dirt, and the reason I don't really worry about too much with the wax dirt is because I don't trap in a lot of freeze thaw here at home, and if it does rain, I just with that peat moss being it's a very good it's pretty much hydrophobic, I mean, in my opinion. But so I can just slop that top layer off the trap. The peat moss is usually still bone dry underneath, and then if I know it's not going to get down to freezing temps, all I'll do is just take another skiff of dirt and throw it over top of the set. I won't even pull my trap out. Now if it's like a drowned, if the set's drowned and you got to do something, I'll just take it all out, slop everything out, and remake it. But if you consider the time that it takes to do that, it's not that detrimental to your overall day. But like I said, you do what you want to do. You do what's good for you and good for your system. I'm just telling you kind of a few things from my system. Then I had a couple guys ask me about bait, lure, and this and that, and honestly, I don't get anything from saying this or anything like that, so I don't think I do. But Marty Smith makes great stuff. He's made it for years. He's got a super tight following, and he has good products. His bait, I really like his bait. I have not used his lures. I have used his urine in the past. I don't use his urine anymore. I get it directly from another individual from Indiana, Bob Went, and you've probably all heard that. But I make my own bait now, and it's done well. Done well for me. Done well for the guys that I know have used it. They've given me feedback on it. The only negative, I think there was one negative, was My grinder was not. It was not. I think, and it's my fault, but the grinder was not meant to be able to cut and handle that much, or grind that much meat, or handle that volume of meat. So I did use like a wood chipper that I got. It worked, but it kind of made it a little bit stringy, and that's the negative that I've got is like some will be really nice and chunked up and ground up, and the consistency's it's just the consistency's off. So what I did is I went out and I bought a 1 3/4 horsepower grinder, and that's what I'm going to start using to make my bait more consistent, and because I want to have the best product for you guys, so that's kind of the route I'm going to go, and then I'm actually working on a squirtable lure right now, and it's going to be, I'm not going to give too much away, but it's going to be something that should work pretty well. And I've got some advice from a few guys. Todd from TS Trap Lines has kind of given me some advice, and then my mentors talked to me and gave me a little bit of advice, and I've talked to a couple of other like bait lure makers and got a few like tips and tricks from them. So I'm going to do that, and that way you can just carry like a 4 ounce or an 8 ounce bottle, squirt bottle, and you can just squirt it in the hole and flip your tab down and go, and you don't have to worry about getting a stick or doing anything like that. And it's not going to be like the end all to be all, but the name I thought about calling it was pulling your chain, and because it's the coyote or whatever you catch is going to be pulling your chain, so they're going to be pulling on it. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that name. Maybe it's shit, but so yeah, I will have quite a bit of urine this year, and I have sold some to a few guys. I have to get it a little bit more organized on my end, and then on my website, and then have a quantity, because I'm not going to have unlimited quantity. I'm going to have a limited quantity of the urine that I'll be able to sell, but it's going to be top-notch quality. So it's going to be some of the best, if not the best you've probably ever used or tried. And then I still have the Comanche, the canine pudding, and I'm still going to run my bait. I thought about making a different bait, but I don't know if I'm going to go that route. I think I'm going to just stay with the one bait, make sure that it's fine-tuned as completely possible as I can, and just add the squirtable lure, because I like using a squirtable lure. That's what I used as my change-up when I was out of state. I made a squirtable lure, and I liked it. I just got to make sure that I can get the recipe and the consistency and everything down to a T. So then that way I can produce it. I'm going to produce it in small quantities, like probably like half gallon bucket. Produce it, and then just take that half gallon bucket, put it into a 5 gallon bucket, and then rinse and repeat. Do the same thing over until I get as much as I think I need, or as much as I can make that's top quality. I'm not going to cut anything. I'm not going to I'm not going to skimp out on anything just to have so much that I can make X amount off of. That's not really what I'm concerned about. Damn cops sitting in a cemetery trying to catch people. I'm going to speed limit. Anyways, so that's what I'm doing, and then I've actually worked on. I've been kind of coming up with a tune bait that you could use for EPs, and I'm still tinkering with that a little bit. I had some that I let a few guys use. They they said they caught on it, but it's, it's not hard to catch coon on. I want something that's going to be able to withstand the weather, not get all gooey and mushy or something. And so I want to try to tweak that a little bit. But as far as that goes, I've got several different things in the works for the improvement of my bait and lure line, I guess. It's not really a line, it's more like a blip, because I only sell like 3 things. So then the staking system, and I kind of touched on that a little earlier, but I use a 4-pound with a digging grub on the end of it that I've made. My dad and I made 2 of them, and they work great, but I really don't want to have anything happen to them. So I kind of put those in retirement, and then I ended up buying an S-wing from Gary Haupt from Hammer Trap Line, and it's been awesome, and I've recommended that. I've had several guys buy one from him, so, and they've all loved it. It's I think really that's the only thing he's kind of making right now. I don't know what else he's kind of got his. I know he's got a lot of irons in the fire. So, but if you want, get a hold of Gary. You can get a really top quality hammer, and he like insets that digging grub into the actual hammering part. So you get a nice solid striking end, and then you get a nice solid grub end or digging end. And if you don't want the 4-pound and you want to go with a lighter hammer, then you can go with his 3-pound, and he's got long handle, short handle. So to transition into the actual stakes, I run a super stake, the bullet super stakes. I run those, and then I run the Berkshires, and I usually run the Berkshires on cable. And this past year I ran the super stakes on chain, but like I said, I'm going to transition from the chain, and then have. So what I'm going to do is at my quick link, I'm going to have the number 3 chain. It's going to go down about 6 to 8 links, and then I'm going to take a 1/8 inch cable and use that at the terminal end with either the bullet attached to it or the Berkshire, and then that's how I'm going to run it. And I can try and get a picture or a video like showing you the setup, because I think it would be easier to see than me trying to describe it. And other than that, I'm going to start power washing traps and getting them packaged back up. And if I feel like it, I'll probably either wax now or I'll wax later, and then just get them stored away. And I have a few events that I got invited to that I'm going to be setting up at and doing a few demos at. So that's really cool. That's exciting. And that's really it. There's more I can touch base on, but I've kind of been a little long-winded and don't want to, I know you all got stuff to do throughout your day, so I'm gonna let you go. And if you guys have any questions or anything, hit me up in the comments. I know I went through, and I know I need to stop talking, but I went through some of the comments from the YouTube, and I took screenshots of them, and I'm going to do a video addressing those as well, and kind of just talk through the reasoning behind what I do and some of those questions. So anyways, I'm almost to work, and y'all take care. We'll talk to you later.